strategic move that Eddie is making for AJ? Why are you not thinking, let's get him set up for
kind of animal? If that was years and years and years ago. Like, Claressa is a way different fighter from when she was back in.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that have been joining me on our
defenses that she's had to have recently. You know, she's pulled people.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RoundTable about tribalism. I don't think tribalism is necessarily bad. I just don't think it has to be.
I don't know what he think he sees or what he think he know. But he going to the hospital, bro. Like, bro, you not winning that fight.
You guys mentioned, I think, D-Style, you mentioned him versus Regis Program. I'd love, that sounds like a...
I don't need you, you know, and PBC and others, in my opinion, it's like, oh, this is my guy. Like, there's a relationship.
Flat out, it's tough, and we call box, and we go to the end of the round, and then...
That would say, what do you mean by acting black? That's a fair question, but a participant of trash talk knows...
And they're announcing a fight 3-4 months from now. And he ain't going to fight. I bet you anything. He's not going to fight somebody as good as John Whyte. What's going on, everybody? This is D-Style here. The 143rd edition of the Round Table. Let's go ahead and get this party started. But now it is Emmanuel Navarrete Fight Week, ladies and gentlemen, and because it's Emmanuel Navarrete Fight Week,
Feliz
Navarrete,
Feliz
Navarrete,
Feliz
Navarrete,
Prospero año y felicidad.
Oh no, he didn't. Yes, he did.
We want to wish you but
I gotta go.
So that's it. Feliz Navarrete to everybody out there. MAW has just sent me in the chat. If you're listening on the archive, hit that like button and share this video on all your social media platform. Let's go ahead and get this one started here. Let's start with this story. Claressa Shields, besides wanting to fight men, right? Besides that, she has signed a deal with PFL. It's an MMA promotion. Similar to like Bellator. It's not at the UFC level in popularity, but it's around that level. They also signed Amanda Serrano. Joe B, what's your reaction? What are your thoughts on Claressa Shields signing with the PFL? Is this a sign of things? Is she bored with boxing? What's going on?
It's funny you say is she bored with boxing, because that was one of the things that I was thinking about, and I think we talked about that earlier as well. At first, I was like a little perplexed, saying like, why doesn't she just focus on boxing? But I'm starting to think, like you just said, bored with boxing. That's number one. And number two, I'm hearing, and again, I don't know this for sure, but I'm hearing PFL pays their fighters very well. I know Francis Ngannou, supposedly, according to what he said and others in the industry, saying he got a better deal at PFL than he had in UFC. And you know, other fighters have said that they do very well by the fighters. So I'm thinking maybe they gave her a pretty decent deal, and you could argue maybe it may even be better than some of these fights that she's been getting, purses she's been getting in boxing, right? So those two things came to mind, and maybe she'll be more active. I just think that she's pretty much done everything she could do in boxing. There's not much left. Probably a rematch with Savannah Marshall, and maybe Green would be another fight for her. But after that, what does she do, right? So she's probably looking for more challenges, and she's probably getting paid pretty well to do that. So maybe it's not such a bad move after all.
Okay. All right. Well, Manny Marrero.
Hey, well,
what do you make of this? And Amanda Serrano from Puerto Rico, right? She signed with PFL as well. What are your thoughts? So what are you thinking here? Is this good for women's boxing? Bad for women's boxing? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it is. I think that they're exploring some other venues and different things in there. I don't think Amanda is bored of boxing yet. I think Claressa may be a little bit different. I just don't think that she's got heavy competition, so she could be bored. But I think Amanda, it's on the right track, and having that opportunity to continue to get some big paydays. Just like our friend Habib said, that's important as well. But I think Amanda has great opportunities, and the perfect scenario right now that could happen is there's two other undisputeds out there, and obviously there's a rematch between Katie Taylor, but there's someone else in the mix in a little higher class division. That's Alicia Baumgartner. I just can't imagine her going in a different, going to MMA. I think right now that she's definitely want that rematch against Katie, and then Alicia. Can you imagine? 2-time undisputed. So payday. That's what I see about it, and I think that that's going to open up a lot of doors for other females in boxing, especially when it comes to the money. Katie Taylor and Amanda just led the way when they fought each other, and they made pretty decent money. Thanks Paul. But however, this is probably going to be good, and this is probably gonna get the more exposure to some boxers, and then the females are going to continue to do what they're doing right now, and it is to continue to strengthen and continue to gain more fans and in a sport that they lacked for so many years.
And by the way, while you guys are listening to chat, let us know what are your thoughts about Claressa Shields, Amanda signing. Even the machismo dudes, like, I don't care what the women do. I only watch the men. You let us know what you think. I don't know. Shit. Hey, Christine, what are your thoughts on these two women signing with the PFL?
I think for Claressa, it's more of an ego thing. I really do. It's like a lot of people call Amanda the GOAT. How many world titles has she won? What has she accomplished in MMA? And Claressa has such a big ego. She doesn't want to be left in the dust. So she's like, you know what? I've got some things to prove, some things to show, because we all know that she feeds off of this self-serving attitude and having to be the GOAT. So I think it doesn't have anything to do with her being bored. I think she's having fun on Twitter. I don't think she's bored. I just think that she wants to show that she is the GOAT. She won't admit it, but that's what she wants to show. And Amanda, I mean, she's already crossing over. She's already, again, crossing over after this last fight. To start her MMA career again, or over, or whatever, it was on pause. But I just think it's an ego thing. I really do. And does it help boxing or hurt boxing? I don't think it does either. I think it is what it is. And I think it's about ego.
You're muted, Beast-style.
My bad. Hey, Cholo, what do you make of it, brother? Claressa Shields to sign with PFL, going MMA. Do you care, not care, or what are your thoughts?
Well, as somebody who was just starting to pick up on women's boxing probably about 3 years ago, man, it was really starting to excite me. And for Amanda, I'm not really sure, because there's work for her in boxing. There's things that she can definitely do in boxing. So I'm not, it's a little perplexing to me on why she would go down this route. Claressa Shields, to me, is kind of a no-brainer, man. There's really nothing left for her in boxing, at least not in the moment. And if she really has this fire in her, see, whether you like her, whether you hate her, think about her, man. She wants to fight. She wants the battle. She wants the challenge. So I know she rubs people off the wrong way, and that's cool, man. That's fine. You don't have to like her, but she does want to, fight. She does want to be busy. She does want to be the best, but there's not really a lot for her. So if there was a lot more competition out there for her, she's moved up in weight. She's moved down in weight. She's done whatever she does to make the fight happen. And there's really not much for her. So yeah, I could see her going to MMA and trying it out there. Whether it's good or bad for boxing, it really depends, to me, what they do. Are they going to come back to boxing? Because if they don't come back to boxing, then it doesn't help out the sport. If they do come back to boxing, especially if they go in the MMA world and make some waves, get a couple of good wins, and then say, hey, we're going back to boxing, that could bring a couple of people to watch them in boxing. So, but again, the Amanda, I'm not really sure why. Like I said, there's some work for her, but Claressa, to me, it's a no-brainer for her to go over to MMA.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, a lot to look at here. Look, she's liking it now, I guess, but like, I don't know, like what boxers need to be careful of over there in that sport is this, right? Because I saw Claressa, she showed a lot of heart in her 2 fights over there. She did, right? She even won against Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt when she was when she was not in a dominant position, right? And showed a lot of, like grit and won that off of just toughness because she didn't know what she was doing in the ground, quite frankly, but she found a way out of it. But that being proud like that, like all I will say is don't be too proud. If somebody gets you in an arm bar and you're too proud to tap out because, I'm Claressa Shields, I never quit, they're going to break your arm. And then you can't box because your arm's broken, right? And over there in that sport, they'll say it all the time, like, you got to tap out or you don't fight again, right? They break a bone, they break a limb, you're out of commission, you can't make a living anymore, right? You can't participate in the sport anymore. So that's why they view quitting different over there. You know what I mean? So she could end up too proud for her own good and get something broken over there, right? Especially she fights that Kayla Harris, I believe, is like a judo artist. I mean, she couldn't get her ankle or something. She should get her in an arm bar and snap it like this, quick, right? And the Shield is too proud, doesn't tap out. It's one thing to lose. It's one thing to get something broken. So that's the one thing she needs to be careful for. Another thing is, the kicks, like what they could, if you get kicked in the legs a lot, like it could fuck up the arteries in your legs, and you need your legs for boxing. So it could interfere with your boxing career, right? And then, well, how do you offset the leg kicks? Well, you got to work them out. You have to prepare yourself to check the kicks and take leg kicks. In order to do that, you have to do certain workouts that perhaps don't favor you in boxing anymore, right? So you become slower on your feet because you've been doing the workouts with your legs. So there's some positives and negatives I could see here, right? But the positive is that it can grow her profile. That's the positive, right? So we'll see how it goes with them. I know Amanda has already done jiu-jitsu tournaments. She's already done MMA, but she hasn't done it at a high level. All right. Now, really quick around the panel. I'm going to leave Christine for last. She's the woman in the panel. But Babe, what do you make of Claressa saying she called out Keith Thurman again and Jake Paul? She wants to fight them.
Like I said, if it's kind of like an exhibition type thing where they're just going to go in there and move around, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think either person would go in there trying to hurt Claressa Shields. And even if Claressa Shields did go full speed, I don't think that it would be a threat to either guy. So again, like I said, if it's kind of like an exhibition where they just go in there for a spectacle, I don't have a problem with it. Okay. Let him have at it.
Manny Marrero, what are your thoughts on Shields wanting to fight either Thurman and Jake Paul?
I don't know. I mean, that's Claressa being Claressa, but I'm 100% agree with Christine's comments earlier on. Is she wants the attention? She's not getting the attention she wants in the sport, the female boxing, and she wants to get it somehow until she gets it, right? So if anything like that would happen, that's mission accomplished for her. I just don't know how it's going to happen. Are they going to go through rounds? How many rounds they're going to go for? Number one. Number two, exhibition per round. I mean, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes. I don't know. So, she has the body to it. She's athletic. She's physically strong, but honestly, I just, even with Keith, even with anyone, I would say it'd be very, very difficult and it'd be very hard to digest. Not that she cannot do it, and I'm not putting that in perspective, but the reality is she needs to stick in what she's good at. And if boxing, she's not getting the attention, then move over to MMA and experience that and then see how that goes. That's all I can say. But I honestly, stay in your lane. There is no reason to be shifting left or right. Stay in your lane and your time will come. Well, I don't know yet. She wants that, but she needs to continue to work and see what happens. Maybe move lower in the lower division in boxing. I don't know, but the reality is, for me, it's got to stop. For me, it's nonsense.
Cholo, how do you feel about her calling out these guys? She's calling out men, saying she could tick on them.
Well, listen, quite a few years ago, Joey Buttafuoco stepped into the ring with China from WWE. May she rest in peace. And he did not take it easy on her. Look, there's no real upside for Keith or Jake Paul to step in the ring with them. There isn't. I'm going to agree with Beeb. I don't think they would go full force on her, man. There's really no upside for them to do this. Claressa Shields, look, man, she's somewhat of a heel. You know, she's somewhat of a bad guy. She's somewhat of a, hey, man, I kind of want people to hate me. I want the attention. Look, I truly believe that she truly believes that she is the best. But like I was saying earlier, there's really no competition around her for her to get that attention, for her to get that notoriety, for her to, for people to start talking about her. And that bugs her. And it should. If she's looking to be great, if she's looking to be, mentioned with all the greats, male or female, she needs to be having some of these fights. She needs to have Joker to her Batman. But there is no Joker. There's nobody really to fight. There's really nobody out there for her. So, she's just reaching. She's throwing things out there to see what sticks. Like I said, I'm not a big Claressa Shields fan. Sometimes she rubs me the wrong way, but she really, what is she, 28 years old? I think she really wants to be the best and wants to go down in boxing history. But it's unfortunate because around her, there's really nothing much for her to do.
Yeah, I would say that there's this girl called Shadisha Green at 168 pounds that she needs to see. And she's not doing herself any favors when she goes on Twitter and says, this girl Shadisha Green is not even that good. And who she beat? Like, well, there's nobody there to fight, Claressa. She beat your friend, though. She could beat your friend. Your friend ducked her. All right. And I think Shadisha's going to beat Marshall in much better fashion than you did. And I think that will cause a buzz. That's my opinion, but that Marshall obviously has something else to say about that. But Christine, is it women power? Support the women no matter what? Women could do everything men could do and all that good stuff? Oh, you're muted.
Okay. I think it's ludicrous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it is a lose-lose for these guys. So they beat a woman up and what? Or they get beat by a woman. What? There's no winning for them, Honestly, what I think it is, like, I mean, we saw her flirting around with Sonny. I think it's like, if I tell you, we're about to spar, we're gonna get in the ring. I'm not telling you I want to fight you. I'm telling you, we're gonna spar. You know what I'm saying? I think she's been putting up posts about, being single. How does she deal with it? This and that. She's flirting. She's flirting. Anybody can see that.
Are you saying she wants Keith one time?
I mean,
is that what you're saying?
I mean,
just one time?
Just one time. It's not, does she want to be the best? Yes. Does she want to be whatever, yeah, she does. But it's ridiculous.
But what is she trying? What is she trying to prove? Like, if she can beat Keith Thurman, and then on that sense of it, it's like,
I think she wants Keith to show her who's
That's what I'm saying, and she probably wants Paul too. Jake, who's it? Jake that she was calling out.
No, like, look, she wants. You know what she wants? She wants Keith to show her who's boss. That's what she wants.
a little salt and pepper. You know what I'm saying?
That's what she. I think Christine's onto something. But I will say this though. Stop trying to demasculate a dude if you don't want people to talk like that. All right. Here's what I'll say. This is why I don't even want an exhibition where they carry her, and she's already delusional. She posted clips of her sparring with men, and they're clearly holding back. You could tell they're holding back. And she's showing it off like
it's no big deal. Like, women spar men all the time.
But she's showing it off as if she was in there duking it out with them, and she's and this is just the parts that she wants to show. And it don't even look that impressive because they're obviously holding back. Look, if Keith Thurman's holding back and she clips him with a 1-2, you're gonna have dudes on the internet clowning Keith Thurman, making fun of him because he couldn't beat a woman, even though I know it's gonna be an exhibition, right? But she's going to go on the internet the day after and say, I was holding back too, and I didn't go. I could have gone further, but Keith Thurman was too scared to do a real fight. But you saw what I did to him. Like, that's what she's going to do. I know she is. And Jake Paul, I actually don't agree that he'll take it easy on her. I think he'll just knock her out.
Oh, yeah, he will.
I don't think Jake Paul is skilled enough to carry Shields.
To be able to hold back.
If Thurman goes in there and for whatever reason has a mishap and looks bad in certain spots, then guess what? He deserves to be eviscerated on the internet the next day.
Absolutely.
So that's that, man. I'm not here to run interference for Keith Thurman, man. If she can wobble him, then guess what?
Yeah.
Something is wrong.
Who is she wobbled? She's had what, 2 knockouts?
Two knockouts.
Who has she
Yeah,
wobbled?
she ain't gonna wobble Keith Thurman.
Yeah.
Well, D-Style's like he's like framing it, like creating this scenario. I'm not saying he's saying it's gonna happen. He's doing a what if scenario.
No, not wobble, bro. It could be anything. Like, you know, when two people spar, you're gonna have moments. They're gonna have moments. Like, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, what if he accidentally rolls an ankle or something, man?
Keith Thurman just needs to be half of what he was.
He deserves to be eviscerated. I don't care if he sprains an ankle, blows out a knee,
Okay,
walking down the ring.
What if
look bad in that fight?
How about this, Beeb? What if she clocks him with a good one, and out of instinct, he just clocks her back and knocks her the fuck out? Then what would you say?
I disqualify him.
Well, see, then why? Then she's asking for trouble.
This could happen, by the way.
Now all the bullshit is going to go down.
Mike Tyson and Roy Jones.
Why would you beat up a girl? Why would you do? You know what I mean?
When Mike Tyson and Roy Jones had their exhibition, they weren't even punching each other in the face. So I mean, an exhibition.
That's true.
When Muhammad Ali used to
knock each other out,
and when Muhammad Ali used to do those exhibitions with like celebrities and stuff, he never went all out on them.
Yeah, but Mike Tyson was smoking weed before that fight, man. These are two guys that were completely way over the hill, man. I mean Keith Thurman goes in there. Look, if you go in there and you got the gloves and Keith Thurman decides to knock her out, I don't see why people should trash him. Hey, you guys agreed to it. There you go. Exactly. Now, if it's an exhibition and if people are saying that it's just to be friendly, some sort of charity or something like that,
well,
okay, then I get it. But
if you remember, before the Mike Tyson fight, the referee said, and the commission also said, if you guys go too hard and it gets out of control, we're going to stop it. Same thing here. Same thing here.
But how about he fights Boots instead and stops entertaining this dumb shit with Claressa?
I think he has a better shot against her.
Well, of course he does.
Okay, what about Jake? Would that be a little bit more?
I don't think Jake should not be.
Jake should not be allowed to go near her, man, because he'll try to make it sound like it's some big accomplishment if he fought her for real and beat her.
Yeah, I beat a 2-time undisputed champion in only my 8th fight.
Plus Jake's too big, and Jake's too big for her. Jake's too big for her.
They said she's the GOAT. She called me out. I didn't call her out. That's what he's going to be saying.
And he wouldn't be lying.
Well, you're right about that.
It's old school. My dad always said, if a woman steps up to you like a man, you knock her out like a man. And I'm
can't do that, Christine.
For that, but that's old school. My dad
you can't do that, Christine. You know why?
Well, dare to say it, dare to do it. Then I mean, then why are you saying?
Can't do that.
Ever since Claressa was out in the spotlight, she's been calling
when a woman
mean?
hits a man, the damage she can do to him is much less than the damage he can do to her. That's the problem, Christine. That's the problem. And here's the problem with men. Men have this primal instinct. They don't just hit once. They like, even look what Dana White did. His wife's hit him once. What did he do? He came back with 3 slaps. That's the instinct of a man. They don't just hit once.
All I know, this is all I know, and all I'll say is this: if she were to fight a Jake Paul, she would get knocked out. You know what I mean? Because it's the way it is. I'm sorry. And I know there's a lot of delusional boxing fans out there that are like, no, she's 2-time undisputed. She's a champion. She's more skilled than him. Skills pay the bills. Styles make fights.
No matter.
Like, it's about styles, not about gender. Like, somebody said that to me. I'm like, go sit down, please. All right? Go sit your ass down.
I wonder why Dana White didn't look at these two ladies and say, hey, come over here to the big times and I'll give you guys a couple of good fights, a couple of good money paydays.
Yeah, I think the UFC is like a little bit the competition for the UFC has really good women's fighters. They're really
no
good.
pay though.
But let's proceed here. Before we get to the good top, I want to talk about this really quick. David Benavidez and Andrade are rumored to be in the works. I believe today more news has come out that it's imminent. In boxing, imminent and all but done just means what it is. But thoughts on that potential fight and the fact that it might be on pay-per-view. I know BB is already going to buy it. Like, unfortunately, he's going to buy it. But what are your thoughts about this fight, Manny? And will you buy this fight?
I mean, I'm gonna buy it, and the reason why to that is, the spotlight of this is Canelo. I remember when Canelo one time said, "Go out there and get a tournament, and at the 168, and we'll see who am I going to fight next." And clearly, Benavidez was going to be part of that tournament. Clearly, at least the number 4th spot was going to be Boo Andrade. Problem is that I feel bad for the guy because no one really wants to fight with him. They don't feel like he's in that elite level into like, I'm going to risk what I have to fight him. He had to move up to 168 to start kind of carving his way into somewhere. And so he has no other chance to fight someone else at 168. The other person that he could fight is Munguia. That ain't going to happen. Or even Gabelanda that he's got, he's been fighting in the zone and with Eddie Henry and Matchroom out there, right? But that's not what he wants. And I think right now for Benavidez to stay active and Benavidez to really solidify himself as the next opponent in some of those 4-fight deals Canelo got with PBC, this isn't a very interesting fight to do so. This is a fight that I'm excited for Boo Boo to showcase himself, what he's got. This is his opportunity. One shot, once in a lifetime. He's been wanting this. He's been wanting the spotlight. So for me, I see it okay. Is it a pay-per-view? Not really, but we're all going to go get it because we want to be able to see eventually who's going to be there in attendance. Y'all know Canelo's going to be there. Y'all know people are going to be rooting for Benavidez. Everyone wants to see Benavidez and Canelo, and eventually will happen, right? So the build up to this, Canelo being there, being part of like / last-minute tournament, let's say finalist, to see if Benavidez really earns the spot to fight Canelo, which he probably will. It's gonna make it very interesting, and I think Booby's gonna grab the opportunity by the horns, and he's gonna really get the best out of it. So I'm really happy for him. I'm excited for him, and I just don't see the pay-per-view part of it. I hope that PBC can actually arrange some better undercards because they haven't been able to do so. I don't know why. And people are just stuck with $60-$80 just to watch the main event. It is what it is. But I'm excited. I'm happy for him. Happy for both. We'll see.
Okay. Woo! I'm ecstatic. I'm stoked. But because Andrade is such a dread to watch fight. You know what I mean? Cholo, what do you think of this matchup? And what do you think about the fact that more than likely it's going to be on pay-per-view?
Well, it's definitely going to be on pay-per-view. It's PBC. The PBC had Charles Martin versus Luis King Kong Ortiz as a pay-per-view, believe it or not. So it's definitely going to be pay-per-view, and yet this fight is not as relevant as Benavidez versus Caleb Plant because Andrade does not. He gets forgotten. He gets thrown in the back seat for reasons why you were saying. He's very boring to watch. Demetrius Andrade went to the Olympics with my homeboy, man, Sean Estradas. It's hard to believe that he's been in boxing for this long and not really made any waves with an undefeated career. I like the fight. I think this is a good move for David Benavidez. I understand people were kind of hating on Benavidez, saying, hey, you're supposed to fight David Morrell until you heard the news of Canelo going to PBC, and then some way, somehow, no, that was never happening. But this is the right direction for Benavidez. For him to go after Demetrius Andrade, where you can kind of say things like, hey, I'm fighting a guy that Canelo was running from or avoiding, right? And I'm taking this big challenge. Leave it to me, King David Benavidez, man, the Bandera Roja, the Mexican monster, man, to take out the guy that everybody was saying Canelo was avoiding. Build it that way. It's not true, but that's the way you're going to build it. Yeah. So you get that victory. I'm believing Benavidez will get that victory, and that would definitely put him up there, man. For the next guy for Canelo. So good move. Am I going to pay for it? Well, they got to put a better undercard for me to actually pay for it. Am I going to watch it? That's another question. Yes, I am going to watch it. Yeah. Pay for it if they put a good undercard. So we'll see as time gets closer to it.
For sure. Look, before I go to Christine, I want there to be pressure on Canelo, because I want to see this fight. I'm being very serious when I say it. I want to see Benavidez, Canelo next year. I want to see that fight. So I don't want to see him fight Charlo after he beats Jermall, after he beats Jermell. I don't want to see another guy move up and wait to fight him. I know those rumors of Crawford or Spence might move up to fight. I don't want to see Spence fight Canelo. I want to see Benavidez fight Canelo, right? So I want there to be pressure. I want there to be fans. I don't see them anymore, but I want to see the fans again. Well, Canelo, why aren't you fighting Benavidez? Are you scared? Is he scared of Benavidez? Is he scared of that? I want fans to say that, because that's going to bother Canelo, and his ego is going to make the fight happen. If there's no pressure, then what's his incentive to do it? It's not going to be because he's not selling pay-per-view. I know that, right? That you could throw that whole thing to the trash, that he's taking over Vegas and all that. That didn't work out, right? It has to be from a boxing perspective. He has to be the Clubber Lang of the story, right? Mexican Clubber Lang coming after this aging champion, if you want to call it that, in Canelo. They don't want to put him in there. But I know, so like Mickey saying, don't fight him. He's a Mexican monster. That's what you want, right? So I agree with what Cholo said, and that's what I was actually thinking. If he goes in there and people are saying, hey, he's fighting the guy that Canelo shunned at the press conference and didn't want to fight, right? And if he goes out there and he destroys Andrade, I don't care the pay-per-view does 10,000 buys. You know what's going to get views? Especially if he knocks out Andrade? Those shorts on YouTube the next day. Those posts by Showtime. Okay, and then they're going to start talking about it on ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, and they're going to apply pressure for this fight to happen in a good way, in a let's make this fight happen way, right? But those are my thoughts. Christine, what do you think of this fight? Are you a fan of Andrade? And what do you think about it being on pay-per-view? Well, you're on mute.
All-time favorites. I said, first of all, shout out to Sean Estrada, Cholo. He's one of my all-time favorites. Tell him I said hello. But that fight to me is like wah, but I do think that Boo Boo is going to bring out the best in Benavidez, because he's long, he can box, and he's going to bring out the best in him, in my opinion. Am I going to pay for it? I don't see myself paying for it. I don't think it's pay-per-view worthy. But I will definitely watch it. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Boo Boo, because he's trying. He's done everything, but he just doesn't do anything for me. Like, there's no fireworks. There's no, I want to see who is going to fight next or how it's going to go, because it always goes the same way. But, yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Babe, do you feel bad for Andrade? And what are your thoughts on this being pay-per-view?
I don't feel bad for Andrade, because I think he made some bad business decisions. And obviously I'm not a manager, but I'm hearing a lot of people in the business that say that, he turned down a lot of fights. And I'm happy for him now, though. This is a great opportunity. And if he does win this fight, then Canelo really can't say, hey, what have you done? Why should I give you a shot? I think if he beats David Benavidez, who's the number one guy ranked at WBC, interim champion, right? If he takes that spot from David Benavidez, then yeah, he puts himself right in the mix. I actually like this fight even better than a Morrell fight, because this is a style that is challenging because no matter who Andrade fights, he makes it an ugly fight. And the challenge will be, how do I look good against this guy? Even in winning, he can, even if David Benavidez wins and Andrade kind of makes it a stinker type performance, right? He ends up winning like an 8-4, 7-5 type fight, and it's uneventful. And, like I said, Andrade just stinks out the joint. Then it could be bad for David Benavidez. But if he does go in there and blows him out, like I think Charlo said this, he can go and say, "Hey, I beat the guy that Canelo didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight him at 154. He didn't want to fight him at 160. Now he avoided him at 168. Like that. That's what they could sell that, right? But here's another problem by having this on pay-per-view, because David Benavidez is being sold to us according to Sampson as a pay-per-view star. He's trying to say that he's tried to say to me on an interview that David Benavidez is bigger than Canelo in Vegas and he's more well known. And I'm like, I called him out on that. I couldn't roll with that. So if he has another pay-per-view and it doesn't do well like the previous one did, then it's just going to look bad. Like in terms of when they sit down and negotiate this fight, Canelo's team's going to sit there and look at this guy's pay-per-view numbers, and they're going to be like, well, what do you bring to the table? Now again, I've always said that to me, that doesn't matter, because when you put two guys together at the right place, the right time, it doesn't matter what either guy did before. It matters like how these two will attract the public synergistically. You know what I mean? So it's not about what they did. It's about what they do together. Right. So that doesn't matter, but it's something that, when you're negotiating, you can bring up. So, but I'll buy the pay-per-view.
Well, I mean, that's not a shocker. Like, I mean, but with that said, look, obviously more news will come out. We'll see what happens with that. I know this, though, Morel's going to be talking a lot of smack. That's going to be interesting to see what he's saying. But we'll see where that goes. Look, Jermell Charlo recently came out, and Jermell, he said, he's like, everybody was wrong. I don't know if he was trying to flex or what in this moment, but he, in my opinion, let a cat out of the bag, right? And he said, everybody in the media was wrong. ESPN put out the story that it was my brother. It was never my brother. It was always me. When they said Charlo, they were talking about Mel, not Maul. It was always me. I've been putting on weight for a while. I've been, and I quote, been preparing for Canelo for a while. I already knew because I'm in with Al Heyman. You guys aren't in with Al Heyman. You don't know what's going on. If you notice, I've been putting on weight because I've been preparing for Canelo, he said. That's what he said. I saw this by TMZ. And I have to be humble for a moment and admit something. Okay? I was wrong the whole time. I thought Jermel Charlo had every intention of fighting Tim Tszyu. I gave him every benefit of the doubt. I thought that was going to be the fight he was going to make. I felt that because from Tim Tszyu's perspective, his team and his promotional company, No Limit, from their understanding, it was all but done. They were just waiting for the date, right? And I thought in the 11th hour, Jermall pulled out. They needed an opponent. Jermell comes in and replaces his brother. And maybe that's still true. Maybe Mal's is making all this up. But when I think about it and I'm listening to the things he's saying, look at me. I've gotten bigger. He took a picture with chains on to show everybody how big he's gotten. And I thought about it like, yeah, you don't put on muscle like that like a week after the fight's announced. Like, this has been putting on weight. Like, you know what I mean? So that tells me, I think it's fair to say you exaggerated the hand injury. Your hand was not that bad. You could have probably fought Tim Tszyu instead of Tim Tszyu having a fight Ocampo. You wanted to secure the Canelo fight. You've been preparing for the Canelo fight this whole time. and you never had any intentions of fighting Tim Tszyu. So he swerved me, and Beeb was right. He was never going to fight. He was never going to fight Tim Tszyu, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I was wrong. It is what it is. Cholo, do you was he lying today or yesterday? What do you think he ever had intention of fighting Tim Tszyu, and it was just a Canelo fight? That's why he moved on, or he never had intention to fight Tim Tszyu?
No, I've been saying it for a while, man, that this fight is not going to happen. There's still some people that believe that, tell me that, hey, after the Canelo fight, he's going to move back down to 154 and fight Tim Tszyu. I'm telling everybody, not only do I believe he's not moving back down to fight Tim Tszyu, I don't think he's moving back down to 154 at all. I think he's done with 154. Maybe he'll move down to 160 at best, but I think he's done at 154 completely. No, I don't think his intentions were to fight Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu does not bring in a lot of money. It does not bring in too much for Jermell Charlo. He is the guy. He is the man there. And, you know, once there's talks about, you know, you possibly getting Canelo, there's a lot going on with the Charlo family. I'm sure everybody's been up on the novela that's going on with the Charlo brothers and the wives and everything that's going on, man. So I'm not really sure if Jermel's telling the truth or if this is just to kind of stick it to his brother a little bit. Like, hey, nah, they're never talking about that dude, man, that fool over there. No, it was always about me.
Well,
because in all reality, for whatever reason, and maybe it's because Jermall's name was always entangled with Canelo's name. But it always seemed like Jermall always got the bigger spotlight than Jermell. And I'm sure Jermell knows that. Yeah, Jermell is the one that became undisputed at 154. But who's probably the bigger star out of the two brothers? It's Jermall, not Jermell. Jermel's the one doing more. So maybe it rubs Jermell the wrong way a little bit. Maybe he sees something in his brother. I mean, he's called his brother out a few times. So there's a lot of, you know, dysfunction going on with those guys, man, and seeing their wives go at it. And I think Jermel's like, hey, you know what? Enough of Jermall. Enough of him. He's only popular because people keep on bringing up his name of opponents that they want to see Canelo fight. But it's time for Jermell to get the shine. And Jermell hasn't fought in quite a while either. I know everybody talks about Jermall, and we should talk about his inactivity, but it's been quite a minute since Jermell has gotten in that ring as well, man. But so I'm not really sure if he's lying or not, trying to stick it to his brother or whatnot. But look, just to be honest, I actually like this fight more than Canelo versus Jermall. I'd rather see this one.
Man. Joe, go ahead.
I mean, I never believed that Tim Tszyu fight was going to happen. I've been saying that for almost a year now. I don't think he's going back down to 154. I think he's going to probably fight Carlos Adames for the full WBC title because I do think Carlos Adames will eventually be elevated to full champion at 160. And then he's going to turn around and say, oh, well, if Terrence Crawford wants to fight me, he's got to move up to 160. That's going to be the new thing he's going to do. I kind of suspect this is how I think the whole junior middleweight thing is going to play out. And I don't think Charlo's going to be involved in it. I think Tim Tszyu will probably fight Mendoza next, and I think Crawford may fight Keith Thurman for just a little takeover fight. And then I do think, when all the smoke is cleared, I think Tim Tszyu will either be elevated to full WBC champion or he'll fight Crawford for the vacant WBC title along with his full WBO title, and that'll be two birds in one stone for Terrence Crawford or Tim Tszyu, whatever. It's the winner will have two belts, and then that'll be him on his route to becoming undisputed at 154. But Charlo, I think, will go down he'll go to 160, and it's a division where Jermell could do well because you got Janabek there, you got you got Adames there. There's a lot of, and you got some. Who else you got there? Would you say, man?
Lara's super
You got
champion.
Irislandi Lara. That's correct. Yep. You got him. What's he have? The IBF title, I think, right now.
So no, WBA super champion.
He's WBA. Okay. So yeah. So then it's an easier route for Charlo to kind of become undisputed at 160. I think that there's easier fights for Jermell at 160 than there is at 154. So I think that'll be his career path moving forward, in my opinion.
Manny, was he ever like? Let me give you a scenario, Manny. If Canelo never went with PBC, or if he was going to fight Jermall, right? Was Jermell ever going to fight Tim Tszyu at 154? In your opinion?
Oh yeah, and I still believe that there's a possibility he could. Now listen, the intention of Canelo going to PBC and start fighting someone, and it's not that I'm thinking, okay, let me just fight the weakest link of the top of the face of PBC. We all know the face of PBC. Who are they? The Charlos. If you disagree with me, you tell me who is actually the face of PBC. It wasn't Spence. All right. So the Charlos always been like that. They've been the protected brothers from Al Heyman in every sense of the word. We've been protected. Okay. Now, when I heard that the fight was going to come in, and I said, this really doesn't make sense. First of all, more than 2.5 years without fighting. He's got a back injury. He's going to a nasty divorce. And on top of that, he's going to make a peak payday. Is he going to give 50% to his wife at this time? Is that going to happen? And on top of that, we all know that mentally he hasn't been in the place that he was maybe a few years ago. And this is where now all of a sudden Mel actually kind of took over of both Charlos and got the attention. The reason I don't believe that Mel knew that it was him all the time rather than his brother is because the first time he got interviewed, all he was like thinking, whoa, I'm going to take this chance. Why not? Absolutely. You got nothing to lose. You're going to get a huge payday, number one. And number two, if you lose, you're still going to win. Big payday, and you still keep your belts. If you win, you shock the world. And guess what? There you go. The face of PBC, maybe moving up in the ranks when it comes to pound for pound. Mm-hmm. But the reality is he is the best of the two at this particular time. I wish it would be for both for all the belts, but it's not, right? And so now he's turning the story around like it was me, like it's me the one that's gonna always. I don't believe any of that crap. I think he's just right now like a little kid after Christmas when you got all these kinds of toys, and then you got a PS5 or 6 or whatever that no one's got, and you're like, whoa, I got it. And you're showing up all your friends like, I got what no one got right now. What everyone's fighting to get an opportunity, getting a payday, he finally gets it. And then that's the attitude that you're going to do. I do feel bad for Tim Tszyu because he's been grinding. He's been waiting on a spot. And I just don't think right now, even if Mel loses to Canelo, he's not going to get a big payday if he moves up to 160. Number one. Number two, he's not going to be in competition with his brother in the same division. Regardless whether Mao fights again or not, the opportunity for him to get bigger fights at 154 are bigger than 160. Number one, Tim Tszyu. Bigger fight than that. Guess what? The new welterweight undisputed champion, Terence Crawford. And on top of that, we all heard that if Errol Spence comes back to fight, he's not going to go back to 147. To the point that everything that we're hearing right now, if there is any kind of rematch, it's not going to be in 147. It's got to be up in 154. So bigger money in 154, bigger fights in 154. 160, he's got nothing to look. No one wants the piece of Janovic. To the point that the weakest link is Lara, and no one cares about him either. They made a super champion right now. So for me, it'd be like not a really good business decision when it comes to continue to build to his legacy and also continue to get some bigger paydays than that. And so if you think about all this stuff, and I'll put you something out in the line so you can understand where I'm trying to go. Everything that they do is kind of scripted. Look what happened right now with Caleb Plant and Jermel Charlo. He got slapped his ass out just because he was picking on him and doing some crazy shit like that, right? So there's they're trying to move things to a different direction in terms of like getting Maul back into action, but getting Mel into the spotlight that they've always thought he should be in. If he shocks Canelo, he'll get there quickly. If not, he'll do it against Tim Tszyu, or he'll do it against anyone else, whether it's Crawford or Spence.
Interesting. Okay,
Manny, you don't think Jermall will go up to 168, and you don't think that maybe Jermell, because he's been his whole career at 154, you don't think he's going to grow out of that division at this point?
He could. But where's the money?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you fight for money nowadays. You want paydays. That's all you want. You're not gonna go out there and fight for. You're gonna make $4, $5, $6 million against Canelo. You're gonna go up at 160 and make $1 million or less than that.
Yeah, but what's he gonna get against Tszyu though? Like, is that gonna be a huge money fight?
That is a huge risk, but it's going to have money. Remember, a lot of people don't think about it, and people didn't even think about Kambosos being like a big cash cow in Australia. Who's the cash cow in Australia right now? Who?
Probably Kambosos.
Tim Tszyu. No.
Oh, Tim Tszyu. I'm sorry, Tim Tszyu. But before that, it was before that it was Kambosos.
Together, you put the best of Australia and you put one of the face of PBC together. There's going to be more money in that fight, more hype than that fight than trying to fight someone he's not gonna fight Janibek. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna go back and get what is it? The IBF is still vacant right now. The one.
Yeah, IBF's vacant.
Right. So who is he gonna fight right now? Is he gonna fight Esquivado?
I think this is what I think is going to happen.
What is it? The other guy, Michael Sarafa?
This is what I think he'll do. He'll fight Adames, then he'll fight Lara, right? And he'll have 2 titles at middleweight, and he'll just have easier fights and make a cool 2 million, 2.5 million, and just go on cruise control.
If he's going to do that, I'd love to see him with Mumia. That would be my ideal fight at 160.
Yeah, I don't think he wants any part of Crawford at 154.
Let's get Christine's thoughts on it here. Christine, in your opinion, did Jermell ever have any real intentions this year anyway to fight Tim Tszyu?
I don't think so. I really don't. There's the money wasn't there like it would be to fight Charlo, and the things that happened behind the scenes. I mean, he knew. Somebody whispered in his ear that this was a possibility. And that's why he started putting on the muscle, putting on the pounds, which I think is a big mistake because you're not going to out-muscle Canelo. I mean, Bivol boxed him. He boxed him. But, and that's what needs to be done with Canelo because Canelo doesn't know what to do with boxers. He wants somebody in his face that does challenge him. And so I think that he had somebody told him, a little birdie told him that this was a possibility. And yes, he does have conflict in his own family with Maul. So it was like, this is my opportunity, my big payday, and this is what I'm going to do. And he let people talk and make scenarios, but he knew it wasn't going to happen. I mean, that's my thought. That's my opinion.
Well, it was always my theory that they knew that was a possibility to fight Canelo, but they wanted to keep the Tim Tszyu fight as a backup in case the Canelo fight didn't happen. Let's say Canelo fought Jermall or he fought Benavidez or somebody else. Right. And I thought, well, he'll still fight Tim Tszyu if the Canelo fight doesn't happen. And I thought since the Canelo fight did happen, he moved on to that fight. But now I'm questioning whether he would have done it even if Canelo was not in the picture.
But if you do remember, and I thought this was cap, but maybe it wasn't cap. But what was it, like a year and a half ago? He did say, "I'll fight Canelo." Even he goes, "If my brother," he even said even before all this, he goes, "Oh, my brother don't have to fight him. I'll fight Canelo. I'm not afraid to fight Canelo." He said that like almost a year and a half ago. So.
I will be extremely surprised if he goes back down to 154.
Yeah, I don't think he's going down.
I'm going to say no.
I could be wrong, but I don't see that at all.
If I'm wrong on that, I'll come back on here and apologize. But
he's been at 154 since the beginning of his career, which is like over. What's he been fighting now for 12, 13, like 10 years now, 11 years.
Yeah,
and he's like mid 30s, and he's 6 feet. I don't think he's going down to 154.
No. Neither do I, man.
Oh, we're gonna go ahead and look. I just don't think he was gonna fight Tim Tszyu. And they were stringing him along, and they were exaggerating the hand thing. I think that's what happened. But we're gonna go ahead and proceed here. Look, there's a big fight this weekend for us boxing fans anyway. All right. It'll be on ESPN. All right. It's an all Mexican affair. It's Navarrete. Manuel Navarrete will be defending his WBO belt against Oscar Valdez. It's a 130-pound clash. Valdez lost his crown. The WBC won to Shakur Stevenson last year. Now he's looking to bounce back here, man. Finally, Valdez is going to fight someone who's going to bring it to him. He's been fighting very defensive-minded fighters for the last few fights. I think Valdez should win this fight, in my opinion, but I want to know what the panel thinks here. Christine, start us off here. First of all, is this going to be one of those classic Mexican wars? I heard that Morales and Barrera are going to be in attendance, right? Will the spirit of those guys being in that room ignite a classic fight here, a fight of the year candidate, in your opinion? And who do you think is going to win?
Absolutely. You know, it's going to be an all-out war. It is. It's going to be an all-out war. Those are what we pay to see, what we look for. But I believe that yesterday I was unsure. Like I was like, you know what? I think it's going to be more even. But the more that I think about it and look into it, Valdez has more tools than Navarrete, in my opinion. And so I believe that he is going to etch it out. But I think that no matter what happens, we're going to be very satisfied. It's going to be an all-out war, and I'm here for it. I'm excited.
Okay, all right. Joe Habib, talk to us, brother. Is this going to be an exciting fight? Is it going to live up to those classics? Or are we looking at a one-sided affair here with one guy winning? Who do you got winning here?
Fight of the year candidate while it lasts. I think it's going to be interesting for the first 5. I say this a lot of times. I said this about Crawford for Spence. I said it's going to be interesting for the first half, and I think Crawford's going to pull away and stop him late. And I'm getting ready to say this now, but maybe I'm putting the Beeb jinx on this fight. I do like Valdez in this fight. I think he's the better inside fighter. I think he's an outstanding body puncher. And I think Navarrete is going to have that long torso. And he tries to slug it out on the inside, but he wings his shots a little bit. And one thing about Valdez, once he establishes himself deep in that pocket, he really is fluid with those shots. He's tight with those shots. And I think the shorter, tighter shots are going to get there first. I'm actually looking for a 9th round stoppage for Valdez. And I do think, like I said, maybe the first 4 or 5 rounds. First 4 or 5 rounds, I think it'll be interesting, but Valdez will stop Navarrete.
Man. MAW, I appreciate it, brother. $5 Australian, all right? 5 for the live. Share, subscribe, smash the like button, folks. Absolutely. Make sure you guys hit the like. I have a poll up, by the way. 68% of the people that voted said he never had intentions to fight Tim Tszyu. New poll, how does this fight, how does it go? Is it Valdez decision, Valdez kill, Navarrete decision? Make sure you guys vote. Let us know how this one goes. Cholo, talk to us, brother. Is this going to be one of those? First of all, it's going to be one of those Mexican classic wars. Yes or no? And who do you think's going to win?
Ooh, man, these are the fights that probably should be pay-per-view, but they're not. These are the fights that real boxing fans need to put out there to the casual boxing fans and say, hey, guys, look, don't wait for these big mega fights that, you end up complaining about at the end. Like, oh, that's the best that boxing has to give. No, that's the biggest that boxing has to give, but not the best. This weekend, this is some of the best that boxing has to give. So it's the duty of every boxing fan to push this fights like this to the casuals. Yeah, man, this is gonna be one heck of a damn good fight. I'm like on a teeter-totter, man. And I wake up one day and I'm like, you know what? Nah, I think Navarrete is going to take it this one, Holmes, And then maybe later on that day, I'm trucking it along and I'm like, yeah, you know what, though? I like the way Valdez works, man, on the inside. Nah, and then that knockout that he had against Alacran, he knocked him out going forward. Yeah, you know what? Nah, Valdez. So I could probably switch again. As it stands right now, I'm probably going to go with Oscar Valdez. Then again, come tomorrow, I might switch, man. But it's going to be a damn good fight. Does it go the distance? Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. I think we're probably going to see a knockdown, maybe 2. But I believe it does go the distance. And as it stands right now, I'm going to go with the Valdez, man. Or should I give that cheap answer that everybody likes to give? You know who wins? The fans. We win.
Yeah, right.
I'll go Valdez.
All right, Valdez. Okay. Decision, though, right?
I'm going to say decision, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Battle all the way through decision. We might see some knockdowns. But we will see blood.
Manny Marrero. Let me present it to you this way. Valdez hasn't been looking the best, but you could argue, hey, look at the opponents, right? Defensive-minded guys. It's hard to look good against them. But then you look at Navarrete. Baez was literally almost losing every round against a guy he shouldn't have. He won by knockout, but it's still like, yo, what was going on? Joey Gonzalez gave him everything he could handle. I think he laid a little bit of a blueprint there myself. And then, in his last fight with Liam Wilson almost had him out. He had to spit out the mouthpiece and everything to give himself extra time. Like, was Liam Wilson better than we thought, or was Navarrete just having a bad night? But let me ask you this. Do you think Navarrete is one of those guys that kind of like Teofimo, like when somebody's not up for it, it's like, But if you put somebody in front of him, like when guys like me were saying, oh, Ruben Villa, the guy that beat Venal Lopez, he's the one that's going to beat Navarrete. And then Navarrete ends up dropping him like 3 times and winning the fight handily, right? Because he shows up for that one. Is Navarrete that guy that shows up for the dance when it matters, but he fights down to a level of opposition when he's not motivated? Or do you think he's on a slip? Like how do you see this clash going?
No, I mean, first of all, I want to start with Oído, rest of the promoters. Huge fight, free, gratis, nada, no pay-per-views, no nothing. I think we got to learn at times that sometimes big fights like this, you get more attention when it's free. Shout out ESPN, as always. And Top Ranks. I'm a fan of both of these guys. I've had an opportunity to see them both live. The first fight against Adam Lopez, which, by the way, Adam Lopez rocked him down big time in the second round. He did win. Oscar Valdez win in a knockout in the first one. He beat him in the second one too as well. But and I've seen Navarrete. Navarrete is a guy that I think in 2021 he fought 3 times. He was fighting like every other 3 months. When Navarrete stays active, he was at 126 at that time. Navarrete is just on a different level. As quirky as he is, as awkward as like no freaking style. I am concerned about that because Valdez a little bit more like he's got a great IQ and he can pop him pretty good. Like Navarrete just starts like a bigger Pacquiao going out and he all of a sudden get too excited and boom, here comes the left hook. But at the end of the day, I think that Navarrete is the bigger, the stronger guy. I think he has had a better opposition when it comes to the last few fights, when it comes to opponents that can put him into the test. Leon Smith did something that no one else has done, right? I think because he was inactive for a little bit before that fight, coming in from fighting consistently and all of a sudden just taking a little bit slightly lay off. Before that fight, it was almost 8 months. Full pot. He fought Eduardo Baez, and then fights Liam Wilson. Remember, he's moving up. He was moving up in weight too as well. So until you get acclimated to the weight, until you get acclimated to the speed, the power of the 30 pounds is a little bit different from 126 at the featherweight. Now I can see that Navarrete definitely has that big opportunity to really, really showcase himself in a different level. With a Class A plus fighter against Oscar Valdez, great IQ, great defense. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that he's going to be tested that I'm looking forward to see. But at the same time, we can't part ways with Oscar Valdez in the way he lost to Shakur Stevenson, big time name,
We all knew that, although we were, I wasn't rooting. I mean, I wanted to root for Oscar Valdez, but I knew that Shakur was just too much for him at that time. That could be that slightly little thing that will push him to his best to probably do so. But I think at the end of the day, man, when he starts seeing 500-600 punches thrown against Navarrete, this guy doesn't stop. 6 rounds, 7 round, 8 round, 9 round, and he's still throwing a bunch of punches. Can Oscar Valdez handle himself, right? Even better than he fought Shakur, because Shakur was always just standing in there, right? Navarrete is going to be moving a lot. So there's a lot of challenges for both of these guys that at the end of the day, I'm going to stick with my gut since the beginning of it. I have Emmanuel Navarrete beating Oscar Valdez. I don't see it as a knockout. I see it as a most likely split decision. But if there is a knockdown, that could be Oscar Valdez, because Navarrete tends to open a lot and gets out of his comfort and gets out of his stand. And he's going to get a little bit, out of control at times. So watch him in the ropes, because when he thinks he's got Oscar Valdez in the rope, guess what? He's going to shift them around and he's going to be off balance. So that's my only concern. He could get knocked down. However, I see the split decision. Emmanuel Navarrete.
Look, you know what's funny? I've always been critical of the way Navarrete fights, but it's worked for him, right? So like it's like if I was him, I wouldn't even change anything, because that's what got him to the dance, right? But I got to tell you, my brain still tells me he's going to get caught coming in. I think the way he lunges in, he's going to give Valdez time to load up his punches, and Valdez is going to catch him when he's got his toes off the canvas, right? Whyte caught him like that a couple times. Whyte was using the high guard. That's how Valdez fights. He's going to have the high guard. I think Navarrete is going to be landing a lot on the gloves, and I think Valdez will catch him in between that. Shakur Stevenson did an interview recently where he said, look, Valdez caught me with a really good body shot. I felt it, but I had a poker face. I didn't show him. I was hurt. So if he caught Shakur with a good shot to the body, best believe he's going to be catching, Navarrete with some body shots. I think this fight ends early. I think 4th, 5th round, it's a wrap. I think Valdez is going to knock him out cold. It'll be exciting while it lasts. It will. But I just think Valdez is going to be able to load up on those shots. I don't think Navarrete is going to change anything, because that's what got him here. And I don't think those performances with Liam Wilson, with Whyte, may be biased, but against the latter two, I don't think it's just him fighting to a level of his opposition. I just think he was legitimately struggling with those guys. And I think he's feeling the difference at 130 pounds. He's still a big guy, but he's not as big as he was at 122 and 126. And I think he's feeling it. I think the punches are hurting him more. I think he knows he can't take as many chances. Valdez, 5th round stoppage. I think he knocks him out.
Yeah, I think the defense from Navarrete is going to be his undoing in this one. Plus, he's wide with those shots, and he does leap in. He's going to walk into something.
Now, if Navarrete pulls this one off, I'm never predicting another Navarrete fight again. Right?
Manny, you will get full credit for this one.
I'm telling you, I'm in shock, though. I'm in shock for knockout. No one's ever knocked out Navarrete at all.
First time for everything, Manny.
If you look at his 15 last fight,
Liam Wilson
got him into the distance.
He's been getting closer and closer to it.
Got him into the distance.
I don't know if he beats the count. He sure as hell spit out the mouthpiece. So get more time.
I mean,
here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, Manny. They said the same thing about Margarito before Shane Mosley knocked him out. And then they said the same thing about Joe Joyce before Zhang knocked him out. These are guys that had big chins. Fondora is another one. You can only do it. You can only take it so long, Manny. You can only take it so long.
Liam Wilson is an okay puncher. He's solid, but he don't punch like Valdez.
It's like that chandelier that just keeps getting the cracks. As time goes on, those cracks get bigger.
remember how Valdez knocked out Miguel Burchell, man? That
Oh,
was
I did. Oh.
nasty, man. Going forward like that, that was crazy.
Yeah,
So,
but keep in mind,
I see
Burchell-
a knock. I see
Burchell
knockdowns.
ain't
I
young.
don't see
Burchell wasn't young.
knockout though.
Burchell was not young at that time, and not only that, he was inactive for a little bit. So, and you got Oscar Valdez, who came in like a freaking little lion, and just and he had everything for him at that particular time. And Burchell just didn't really had anything to overcome the offense, the massive destruction that Valdez was providing. And don't get me wrong, I see that, I get it. I'm a fan of both guys. At the end of the day, I have to pick one. And if as a big fan as I am of Oscar Valdez, I'm a huge fan. You see Navarrete. Seen them live, man, a couple of times. These two guys. I wish I could go to the fight. I can't, but this is just a tremendous opportunity for both these guys.
You see the poll, Manny? It's like almost like 50% is saying Valdez by KO.
I don't know, man. I 50% wrong.
Stand your square. You know what I mean? Because look, I was very confident. Actually, I think Christine was.
Navarrete is the younger guy.
I think Christine was on his channel when we interviewed Ruben Villa on ATP. I was very confident Ruben Villa was going to beat Navarrete because I'm high on Bernal Lopez, and he beat Bernal Lopez. Look at Bernal Lopez right now. You know what I mean? But the big difference though is that Ruben Villa is feather fisted compared to Valdez. So that's the big difference. And Ruben Villa did outbox Valdez, and Navarrete in a lot of those rounds. People just forgot about them because of the knockdowns. People have amnesia, like Dwyer likes to say here. Like big moments, knockdowns, and people forget about all those rounds where he looked very human. B, before we move, I want to take this question. Do you think Navarrete was fighting down to the level of opposition, was underprepared, or do you think fighters are figuring him out?
No, I think people are figuring it out because this guy, he's a high risk fighter. He's a high risk fighter, and it's. I don't want to make. I'm not saying it's the same situation with Spence, but the similarity is with Spence, he kept getting by just grinding guys out, and when he couldn't grind a guy out, what happened? It's the same thing with Navarrete. He's grinded a lot of guys out. To his credit. What's going to happen? This guy Valdez fought a fight with a broken jaw like this. There's no quitting this guy. You're going to have to take a staple gun and you're going to have to nail him to the ring to make him quit. You see what I'm saying? He's in phenomenal shape, this guy, too.
I like how people's cooking and the dog in the background is being like the hype man. You know what I mean? I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, I mean, it's not out of character, man, that some fighters, they don't train up to certain fighters, right? They're like, wow, this isn't that high profile of a fight, so I don't train as hard. I'm taking it a little lightly. Now, should they do that? I mean, in a perfect world, everybody says, no, you shouldn't do that. Fine. But that's in a perfect world, man.
Cholo.
But if we're going to be honest, some guys just don't do that. They don't get up for, a little lower tier fights.
Cholo, this is gonna be the Mexican version of Hagler Hearns, and Valdez is gonna be Hagler, and Navarrete is gonna be Hearns.
What's the over? Anybody know?
I'm all about
Look at me. I like how passionate he gets.
I'm all about statistics, guys. I mean, you think about it. Navarrete averages about 70 punches per round in comparison to 50.8 against Valdez.
He ain't gonna average that against Valdez.
46
You know what, Manny?
27 power punches per round, consistent.
100%, Manny. But here's the thing: Valdez is a counterpuncher.
I understand he's a counterpuncher.
Pacquiao was throwing
power punches.
Pacquiao was throwing 1,000.
27 power punches per round.
But Manny, you got to look at the fight. Don't look at the stats like Gabe Montoya says. Look behind the numbers. Pacquiao was throwing 1,000 punches per fight. Every time he fought Marquez, those numbers were down to 650, 700.
Counterpunching.
He ain't gonna be throwing that volume is not gonna be the same in this fight, man. I guarantee.
He's gonna find a way to
Manny,
throw punches.
And if it is,
that's
he's
a
getting
good
knocked out
question.
even earlier. If it is, if he's throwing 100 punches around against Valdez, third round stoppage. But go ahead, Cholo, sir.
Yeah, man. You know, that's a good question, man. Does he keep those stats? Does he keep those numbers up in this
Not
fight
against
or somewhere
Valdez.
around those numbers?
Not against Valdez.
And that's to be proven. And I can understand the fact that he's going to a different level of opposition. He's going to a plus class guy in compared to everyone else that he's fought. Absolutely. But I think that what D-Style said earlier is like the way he got him in there is his quirky style, the way he throws punches. Yeah. He just got to be cautious that he doesn't lose his standing and he just gets bored.
But cautious is not his style. Like, he's not a cautious guy, man. And he can, when you say he's got to be cautious,
Manny, I'm seeing a lot of hopes and dreams in this prediction right now. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I love to be the underdog, and I am the underdog right now.
He just has to be cautious. Like, this guy does not fight cautious, bro.
Hey, like you're saying, it's that style is what got him to this. Is what got him here. That style is what could get him out of that fight pretty early too. So,
man, now look, if he pulls it off, all credit. Then I haven't figured him out. Like, I'll just say that if he wins this fight. We'll see. I've seen stranger things. You know what I mean? Look, a lot of you guys said this is what's the good thing about boxing. The great, these types of fights. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And now let's talk about the annoying bad part of boxing. You know what I mean? Like the stuff nobody really wants to talk about. First, Chisora had a very passionate speech. I don't know if it was crocodile tears or not, but he was like almost brought down to tears, almost supposedly. I didn't see any tears, but he was saying there needs to be like, this is not fair. There needs to be a 10-year ban on these fighters that test positive. This is unacceptable. But he also said it's not the fighters, it's the trainers. So I don't know. He was all over the place. But maybe 10 years is a little too much. But what should be the punishment, if any, for PEDs, and what do you guys think overall about the way boxing as a whole is handling the PED issue? Beeb, let's start with you.
I have an extremely controversial take on this, and every time I talk about this, people like they hate me. But bring it, because I'm just gonna say it. I have an issue with VADA because VADA has their own protocol. Right, everyone else follows the WADA protocol except for VADA, and the big issue with me is their stance on stimulants. How there's zero tolerance, whereas WADA will allow you to use the stimulants in training, but you just can't use them 24 hours before the fight. And I think when you're using them during training, you don't sleep one night, whatever. You get you through a training session. Oh, but why should you get help through your training? Okay, but if you can't use it before the fight and you're depending on it all training camp, and then you can't use it during the fight, you don't get the benefit because you've built up a dependence for it if you were abusing them, and you can't use it during the fight, you're going to crash. So it cancels it out, in my opinion. So I just feel like with the Valdez situation, everyone went nuts with that phentermine. He had like trace amounts. It's very plausible that he did have some supplement that may have had a trace amount of that in there, honestly. And again, I wasn't overly concerned with him having that in the system 3 weeks before the fight. Just my opinion. If it was the commission didn't have a problem with it either, but because VADA has that that zero tolerance policy, everyone just hangs on that. Like, oh, he failed the test. All right. So I'm going to cut to the chase right now. I'm going to land the plane for you. I think it depends on the substance, and I think it depends on the commission. So if in Valdez's situation, I don't think anything should have been done. I think he was fine. That's the commission. The commission had its own policy. WBC had their own policy. They weren't concerned about phentermine. If you do your research on phentermine, it's a very mild stimulant. You can get more of a stimulant off of a Red Bull. It's more of an appetite suppressor than anything. So I had no problem with that. That's just my opinion. Oh, you could die. Someone's on phentermine. I'm not running away from them thinking they're going to kill me. I'm sorry. I'm not afraid of anyone that's taking phentermine. That's just me. I'm being honest. So I think it's based on it's based on what you're taking, and I think the WADA protocol should be followed. I don't agree with the VADA protocol. So if someone gets popped for EPO, at any time during the camp, then that's an automatic 1 year suspension. something like that. I'm not concerned about someone having trace amounts of a fertility drug, a heart medication, a blood pressure medication, a nasal spray. Again, these are all VADA findings, trace amounts, adverse findings. And even Andre Berto, when he popped positive, they came back and made the determination that it was a tainted sample, whatever. So again, these, to me, it looks like VADA creates their own protocol because they want to go out of their way to try to make it easier to, like, they want to make their protocol so much more stringent than everyone else's so they can catch everybody. And I have another question. Why doesn't the Olympics or the UFC or the Pan American Games, like, nobody uses them except for the WBC? Why is that? And they're the cheapest organization. Their costs are half of what USADA is. So again, how good of a testing agency or organization are they? Christine may know more than me on this because she handles the, has more of a, inside track with the testing with probably USADA, and she may tell me who other areas where VADA is used. I don't know, but I've never heard VADA used anywhere else, but except for boxing. And I don't like the fact that Victor Conte is a spokesman. I think he's just trying to put his name out there, clout chase, so he can sell his supplements. Hey, don't take PEDs, buy my supplements instead. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel. That's just how I feel about it. So
didn't those supplements had something back in the days?
Yeah. So my thing is that the perception that all these drugs are created equal. I don't agree with that. So I think it's based on what you're taking, and I do believe that the WADA and the commission protocol should take precedence and supersede the VADA. But the problem is, once the VADA test has an adverse finding or a trace amount, everybody in the boxing journalism industry goes wild because that's a nice hot button issue, a nice sexy topic that they can just get clicks off of, instead of these other crazy things that we have in boxing that are much more, I think, pertinent issues, in my opinion. Sorry for being long-winded.
Yeah. Look, just to point this out, I mean, I remember, he's right here. Joby had a back and forth on Twitter with Victor Conte. Speaking of Victor Conte, and I don't know exactly. I think you were talking about the Valdez situation. You could correct me.
Yeah, I was talking about the Valdez situation.
Yeah. So you want to elaborate on that, just for the audience?
I told him your pre-workout has more of a stimulatory effect on a human being than phentermine does. He had like fucking, excuse my language, he had 19 stimulants in his fucking pre-workout.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Damn.
So don't sit there and tell me this is a guy. And I asked him one time, excuse my language, Christine, because I don't like to say bad words in front of you, because I respect
Christine
women.
lives in a gym.
So I asked him. I said,
she trains men.
I asked him. I said, well, would you have this stance on PEDs if you didn't get caught? You know what he said to me? That's like asking me if my aunt had balls, would she still be my aunt? That means no. Yeah. So this is not a virtuous act from Victor Conte. This is a first-class clout chase.
Plus, he also mentioned, right, and I think you alluded to it, like, well, my stuff's illegal. That one isn't.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, but it's still more effective, But either way, Christine, what do you think? Do you think Chisora is onto something, or does it depend? But what are thoughts?
I couldn't have said it better than Beeb. I mean, he covered every basis. I think Chisora, for him to say that there needs to be a 10-year ban, I mean, for a boxer, that is their life. That's life. That's a life sentence. I think depending on the situation, a year, if it continues, 2 years, depending on who's measuring what and what it is, but 10 years is ridiculous. I said it last night on my show that I believe that 85% of the boxing community is doing something, whether it be, legal or not legal, whatever. It's the way it is, and whoever your handlers are, they obviously don't know how to run the cycles. So they get caught. The people that do have professionals running cycles on whatever they're doing, they don't get caught. I think it had, and yes, obviously, I mean, I had a fighter who fought somebody that I absolutely know was for a world title, absolutely was on something. Do I want that? And when we're not doing anything, no, I don't. You know, but there's different levels, different degrees. But I agree with Beeb. I mean, some of these, you know, with Valdez, it was ridiculous. You know, so there has to be some clear lines. There should be one governing body, I believe, worldwide, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, I just think like what happens a lot and what's frustrating is if you look at all these scandals from baseball, cycling, even in the NFL, when someone gets busted, it's like an anabolic steroid. It's EPO. It's HGH. You know, it's like stuff that really helps you. It's not, it was from nasal spray. Like what? That's not why we want to do testing. We don't want to do. We want people to stop using like performance enhancers that are give them these very unfair advantages, like something dangerous like EPO, where and Beep could explain it better than me, but like you don't get tired for the whole fucking fight.
Here's and I said this to D-Style. I say it to everyone. You can take anything you want if you're fighting me, except for EPO. Because when you get hit in the head, right, your brain, the nerves in your brain shuts down. And what turns those back on? The oxygen to your brain. When you're taking EPO and you have an exorbitant amount of red blood cells in your blood that are carrying oxygen to your body, and your body's having a never-ending supply of oxygen, right? So in the second half of the fight, when your opponent's getting tired, you're kicking into second gear. You get hurt, and those nerves shut down in your brain. Well, because you're able to utilize that oxygen so quickly, and your oxygen will be transported to that brain in such a quicker, more efficient way than your opponent's. Those nerves will turn back on a lot quicker than your opponents. So I would be scared shit of fighting anybody on EPO. And what do all the athletes in the Olympics, the majority of them get bust for? Either HGH or EPO. The drug of choice for Lance Armstrong wasn't a nasal spray, wasn't a fertility drug, it wasn't a heart medication, it wasn't a blood pressure medication, it wasn't phentermine that 40-year-old middle-aged women get prescribed that can't lose weight. Right? These aren't the drugs of choice, and they get tested, and they come up positive like a week before the fight, 2 weeks before the fight. These fighters are not that dumb that if they were to take something, that they would take it that close to the fight. They would taper off probably 3 weeks to a month before the fight. Right? They're not that dumb. So I question the process of the collection of these samples by VADA. If you take a series of tests and you pass every single test, but the VADA one is the one that comes up bad. Trace amounts, adverse findings. Oh, he took this friggin' epinephrine from friggin' cough medicine. That's a banned supplement. Get the fuck out of here with that. You're just trying to say that our testing is so much better than everyone else's because we're catching more people. You're catching more people because you're going out of your way to catch more people because the way you're designing your protocol to do so.
I agree. Like USADA catches people like when Eric Morales got caught by USADA, he was taking a diuretic. Okay, that's what he got busted for. It was a legitimate thing he was taking to cut weight, right? That was before the Danny Garcia fight. All right, like they're not catching dudes for real. It's just my opinion. They're just not. Like it's getting ridiculous at this point, and they're ruining careers. Like Valdez, every time I turn around, Valdez, he's a cheater. He took steroids. Like he didn't take steroids. That's not an anabolic steroid. Like what? So he has a scarlet letter that he's a cheater for the rest of his life for a fucking stimulant. You know that. As Pete said, you get more energy out of a fucking Red Bull. Like, why? No, if it's illegal, It's illegal. Well, guess what? Jaywalking is illegal. If it's illegal, well, what are you gonna do? Lock me up for 10 years to store for jaywalking? Huh? Because it's illegal? Because it's in the rule book? Like, come on.
And then the second time Dillian Whyte tested positive because of VADA, right? And he got cleared by UCAD, right? It was because he took Jack 3D, something you could buy at GNC. And everyone's like killing Dillian Whyte. Again, I'm not trying to run interference with Dillian Whyte, but again, he took Jack 3D 4 weeks before a fight. Like, who gives a shit? Seriously, bro. So that's not gonna turn you, dude. You could give Paulie Malignaggi 7 bottles of Jack 3D. He ain't knocking Floyd Mayweather out. It ain't happening. You could give him all the fertility drugs in the world. He may have a baby, but he ain't gonna be knocking dudes out.
Can Claressa get knocked out?
Jack 3D is pretty powerful, though. I mean, it gives.
Hey, really quick, Brian, this Boxing Story 206. This is what you call a straw man. Valdez never cheated, never denied cheating, though, D-style. Valdez never said, I cheated, guys. He never said that. He said how he took the stimulant. If you want to say that taking that stimulant is cheating, that's fine. However, we've already explained that stimulant ain't shit. Part of my language. It ain't shit. It didn't help him in the fight with Conceição. It just didn't.
He performed worse in that fight, and I predicted that it was a strong possibility he would, because that drug is a very strong appetite suppressant. And if you're cutting weight and you're exercising and you're in a severe calorie deficit, the worst thing you want to do is suppress your appetite so you don't eat, so you don't replenish your body. I said, don't be surprised if this makes his performance even worse. Now, you can step on that scale and hit that number. That means shit the night of the fight if you can't perform. It means shit. And I had this conversation with Breadman about diuretics. Yeah, it helps you make weight. Yeah, you're cheating in a sense that you're having a shortcut to make weight. Mm-hmm. You're having a shortcut to make weight. That's true. But he's trying to say that that's giving someone diuretics are horrible for you. People, there's bodybuilders that literally take diuretics to get shredded on stage, and they get on stage and they stop posing, they cramp up, and they get rushed to the hospital. So you're, again, if someone tells me they're taking a diuretic, thank you, because you're going to perform. My eyes light up. You're not that's not a performance enhancer. That's actually that actually worsen your performance in my opinion.
So really quick before I get to Manny here, again, what's him asking? Look, only in boxing do we test for stuff, and then when we're asking, so what does that do? Well, it doesn't really do anything, but it's used as a masking agent. Well, why don't we hear about that in cycling, in baseball, in football, and all these other in the Olympics? They never catch the masking agents; they catch the shit.
Yeah. One last thing. Oh well, Conor Benn was taking the Clomid because he was trying to normalize his testosterone and lower his estrogen. So, because right after a cycle. So let me get this straight. You're going to take an illegal substance to cover up another illegal substance. That's like committing a murder and taking the gun and putting another gun in its place when you still have the same fingerprints on it. What the fuck sense does that make?
Plus, if there's a masking agent and they catch the stuff that was masking it, right? You can, and I saw a scientist talk about this. Like, they're going to find whatever the thing that you were trying to mask is if it's in your blood. They're going to find it. You can't mask it like that. You can maybe mask it to pass a test, but if they find the things that you were masking with, they could still find the thing if they look at it again. But with that said, Manny, what are your thoughts? Is Chisora onto something here, or is it a little too much? And what are your overall thoughts, bro, on the in general with the PD issue going on with boxing right now?
I just think, I mean, I think you guys have elaborated a lot. And the only thing I can really say that I think there needs to be more transparency, not only from the actual boxer, their camps, whatever it is. There has to be something that it's balanced enough to understand the do's and don'ts,
right? If there's anything that is not within that list, I think that in the boxer needs to take some kind of medication because he's got a condition or anything that may actually put him into a positive test. They need to come out clean to that, because if you don't do that and it's against the rules and you're caught with that, then that means you're trying to at least have a slight edge. I get it. Some of these things may not give you a slight edge. Like, you get a Red Bull, you get more than anything else that these guys are taking. I get it. But at the end of the day, are you still trying to cheat your way to either make weight? Number one. Number two, is it more because everything's monopolized and the way the VADA creates their own protocols and their own rules just to look good out there to the public, to tell people that we're actually doing the good by catching people on what? So that just for me is nonsense, especially someone that had many issues in the past with performance enhancing drugs. So are you trying to clean yourself from the past and be able to now compete in an area in where they're trying to maintain the sports clean, but you're also promoting some products that no athletes can use? I mean, if you think about it, if you're a college athlete, all right, you can't even take creatine. You can't even take any kind of like energy pill, anything like that, because you're gonna get caught. So at the end of the day, if in fact you need to take something because it's prescribed, by a doctor because you have a condition, but that actually is going to lead you to take a positive test, you need to come clean into that to make sure. Hey, listen, I just want to clear my stuff up. I had to take this. What's going to happen if is this going to put me out? Right? Am I going to be banned? 10 years? I mean, Christine just mentioned it, right? 10 years, that's the lifespan of a boxer. That's it, end of the career. Instead of doing 10 years, ban them for the rest of the life, right? But no, at the end of the day, I think they need to look at the severity of whatever they're taking. And if you're taking PEDs, right, or you're taking PPOs, and something that is actually really going to enhance your performance, then the penalty should be higher. I get it. But if you're just taking something because you were prescribed, even though you didn't come clean at it, and it's something that actually might give you a slight edge, then yes, you're going to be penalized. You're probably going to be out boxing maybe a year, maybe less than that, maybe you won't fight. Who knows? But at the end of the day, you're not trying to keep the sport clean. All you're trying to do is promote your product, promote your business, promote whatever it is that you're trying to bring in. And at the end of the day, what it's doing is a shit show. Bottom line, it's a shit show. And you're really not making a difference in the sport, bottom line. And if you're going to do testing, why don't you do testing from start to end? Not only when you're at camp. I mean, these guys can go off camp right now. You can fight today and the next day. You don't have a fight until next year. Oh, I'm going to start a cycle tomorrow. Oh, yeah, I'll clean myself all 6 months. You're still going to have a slight edge. Come on. I mean, I'm not proud of that. But I past when I was young, I loved some Deca, Wintrol. Boy, does that put you on a different level. I mean, I used to play softball. Every time I hit the bat, it's out of the field. Come on. And I wasn't in it at the time. I just did one cycle here, there. But after the cycle, 3, 4, 5 months, you're still fucking strong. You're still having a slight edge against other boxers. And this is why I question Shane Mosley. This is why I actually question Manny Pacquiao at times. Some of these boxers that we don't know. I don't have any evidence. And I'm sorry, I don't. It's all speculation. But the reality is these people were involved in that cycle of that scandal that happened, especially with Victor Conde and all these baseball players. People using PEDs just to have a slight edge. So you want to clean the sport, clean it from top to end. When you enter the sport as a pro, you're going to get tested whether you're in camp, whether you're in a fight or not. So that way you're standard across the board. That's the way I think about it. I think that's the only way to keep the sport clean.
All right. Cholo, what are your thoughts? You've been waiting patiently, brother. What are your thoughts?
Yes, man. My thoughts is Beeb needs to go take a cold shower, man. Look, man. First of all, is Chisora okay? He seems like he's been coming on glued, man. I always thought he was a little bit out there, but it seems like he's coming on glued a little bit more. But the 10-year ban substance for this is definitely stiff. And again, what is it that we're talking about? We're talking about PEDs. We're talking about banned substances. Okay, there's a difference. And then the traces, how much? It's very, very difficult to really regulate this all the way across the board, man, when it's not just one body, right? So I understand they come out and they want to save face. VADA does, and say that, hey, well, some of these banned substances is just for their own safety of the fighter, not so much the opponent. So if they're trying to take things to have them lose weight, you know, we don't want them losing weight like that. We want them losing weight naturally, and we don't want them, you know, we're looking out for the safety of the fighters. Is that true or not? I don't really believe it. I don't know who really does, but all these things that pop up, see, it just kind of goes into people's heads that don't pay attention, right? And it's just like, oh, hey, he got popped with a banned substance. Oh man, the Vato was cheating, Holmes. You know, this guy, he was taking steroids. He was looking to kill the man in the ring. No, but see, that's how it sells. That's how it gets out there to the public. And then it becomes a whole big discussion. It's like, hey, well, was this guy really trying to do, you know, some really bad harm, man? Was he doing this with malice, trying to go into this fight like this? But that's the way it gets sold out to the public. Like, hey, this guy tested for a banned substance. Well, what is the banned substance? And you guys covered it pretty well already. So there's no way you could put 10 years. If somebody is popping dirty, you know, I'm talking about really dirty. I'm not talking about just a banned substance or something of that nature. I'm talking about somebody who's really, you know, testing positive for performance enhancing drugs, man, that's really trying to go in there with malice intent and all. I understand it's the fight game. You got to go in there with those intentions anyway. Yeah, then maybe you can look into that. Hey, you know what? You got a strike, homie. Oh, you got a second strike. You know what? One more and you're done. You got the 10 years, man. If not, possibly banned for life, right? But just because you're finding traces of these so-called banned substances that you can get in so many ways, I don't really like it. And then if we're gonna go ahead and enforce this rule, I mean, sabotage. This is boxing. There's a lot of money, you know, there's sabotaging that can go on, man, where we've seen it. There's been backstabbing in their own camps and people don't get along. So I don't really like it. I don't think boxing can ever get it right. It's just, you can't. It's too global. It's just out there free flying in nature, man. It's not one league that's down where you could just press it down with your thumb. It's too wide, too spread out, too many bodies out there, man, sanctioning and all. It's just you're never going to get it perfect.
Look, USADA caught TJ Dillashaw, the UFC with EPO, right? Or HGH. It was one of the other. I don't remember which one exactly, but that was because they used USADA.
Caught Flojo too.
Well, can somebody name me just one time VADA caught somebody with the real shit?
Yeah, like tell me one instance where someone took something like that. Wasn't a nasal spray, wasn't a heart medication, blood pressure medication, a fertility drug. Like give me a real drug that VADA caught someone with. That's what I want to know. Or phentermine. Come on, bro. Stop.
You know, I mean, I'm just saying, like, yeah, Big Baby Miller was caught with some stuff that very.
Oh, but Dillian Whyte.
Big Baby Miller was caught by the commission. He was caught by the commission.
It wasn't exactly. It wasn't by any.
It wasn't by VADA. Big Baby Miller doesn't even use VADA. Again, you can't have conversations if you don't do the research. He's never used VADA in his life. Why am I having conversations with people that don't even know how to Google stuff? He's never even used VADA. But he's disqualified from the conversation.
I don't know.
He didn't do any research.
Shout out to Apple.
He didn't do any research. I love him, but you don't do research. You don't do research. You got to go sit in the corner like. No,
I get we
the Bronx deal.
Look, I just want to know, when did VADA catch somebody with a good shit? That's all I'm asking. Like that's what I want to know. You know what I mean? Christine, you were gonna say something?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Like Christine, let me ask you this, because you know you're a coach of Team USA. If you got word, if you got news that you're no longer going to be working under WADA or USADA, right? And now VADA is going to be doing the testing for the Olympics. What would be the first thought in your mind?
Oh shit.
Now, is it oh shit because they're gonna catch more people and it's gonna make the sport safer?
No, because athletes get sick. They do nasal spray. They take medication. Yeah, obviously we have a list, but it would be oh shit because anything would be detected.
Yeah.
And they go make a mistake and take some kind of antihistamine or something that's not that's on the list, and because they don't feel good or whatever, and and then what?
And look, before I go to the final question, I just want to say this. I don't want to run interference for fighters or nothing like that, but right is right. I'm getting sick and tired of Valdez, and I'm not even like this biggest Valdez fan or nothing, okay? But he has to walk around with a scarlet letter. Oh, look at that cheater. Look at him. He cheated.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he took something that if USADA was doing the testing, it wouldn't even be a story because USADA allows you to take it, okay, while you're training. You're not allowed to take it in competition, okay? But USADA, right? I'm sorry, VADA decided no tolerance. You take that stimulant, no tolerance whatsoever. When an Olympic athlete could take that, okay, and USADA wouldn't even blink twice about it. They wouldn't even care, okay? I'm just saying, like, because you got to look at the context behind it, right? So if you say something like, well, VADA seems to be the only one catching everybody in boxing, but what are they catching them for? They're catching guys for very stupid things, okay? And then it's either a false positive, you know how unlikely a false positive is, right? Or it wasn't that big of a deal. It was a nasal spray. It was a blood pressure medication. It's a lot of shit that nobody gives a fuck about, okay? That's just the truth. But let's go ahead and proceed here and keep it moving. Final question. Obviously, Whyte is out. We talked about that. Helenius is in. Shout out to Helenius. He just fought, last week? He's going to jump right back in. He's going to go in there with Anthony Joshua. Can he be the spoiler here, or will Anthony Joshua take care of business? Cholo.
The Viking, Helenius, man. Yeah, look, you got to give props to Helenius, man. He started really making his name by beating up on Babyface, who I really liked, man. I really liked Babyface. Damn it. No, I don't think he's going to be a spoiler. I don't. He's just one fight removed from the knockout from Deontay Wilder. Some say it was staged. Everybody believe what it is that you want to believe. I think it's a good replacement. It's a decent replacement for me. I got no issue with it. I'm not even really sure where I'm putting AJ anymore. I like AJ. I like his accomplishments and everything. But what is he today? I think he's 39 years old. I'm not really sure where his career is going from here. I kind of threw in the towel on AJ with, hey, he can still become the guy, the one heavyweight champion of the world. I think that that train has gone, man. I still think he can have a couple of good fights and make some good money before he decides to throw in the towel on himself and call it a career. But this is good. I like it. I'm interested in it. I think it's interesting enough. But Robert Helenius, I think he'll give him a good fight, but I don't think he's got a chance against AJ. I mean, it's boxing. Everybody has a chance. It's heavyweights. One punch can go ahead, change the fight. So, but no, I got AJ on this one pretty easily, by the way.
Okay. All right. Now, Christine, you and Beeb, the last time Helenius fought, we talked about Helenius was before the Wilder fight. And you were saying that they're friends. I'm not saying, I'm just saying they're friends. He's going to help out his friend. So are people sleeping on Helenius because maybe him and Wilder did some together, like a little dance, but now the real Helenius is going to come out and maybe shock everybody, or what? Oh, you're on mute.
Okay. No, you know what? The whisper in the wind. The whisper in the wind is AJ and Wilder. Okay, that's the whisper in the wind. Okay, and Wilder knocked him out in the first round. So AJ has a lot of pressure on him. and he's going to get the win, I believe. Not only does he have the pressure because that's the whisper in the wind, you know, but also his coach, his new coach, you know, his superstar just lost on the 29th. So he's got double pressure. I think that he's going to win. AJ's a superstar no matter what over there because, I mean, he fills the arenas and he's the cash cow and the moneymaker. Do I see him being anything beyond this fight? I don't. Now he's going to be, and I hate to use this word, but a gatekeeper. Like, honestly, I mean, Wilder needs to come back in the graces, and he's going to be used for that. So that's just my, you know, thinking of the whole situation. But Helenious, you know, I mean, AJ's he's got to put him down. Let's see if he does. I think he's going to win, but let's see what he's going to do with him.
Really quick, I don't remember if I addressed this super chat, so I'll just go over it again. Salute to the panel. While Valdez is more talented over, I feel Navarrete will come out loose and Valdez will come on tight. Navarrete by KO. Shout out to Long Live Boxing. En vivo. Absolutely. Beeb. Spoiler? Not spoiler? Are people sleeping on Helenius? What's going on?
I mean, last time they had like a little exchange, you know, a little handshake deal. From what I'm understanding, that's not going to take place this time. Everyone knows the deja vu scenario here. This is the same thing right before the Ruiz fight. You know, he had the big Wilder fight on the table. Everyone kept talking about Wilder before that fight. Late replacement. We got another late replacement. This is even later than Ruiz was, right? Less time to adapt to it. Christine, you talked about Derek James and his superstar just lost. And that's a big fight. And he had to spend a lot of time with Errol Spence. How much time did he really spend with Anthony Joshua when you have that fight? You know what I'm saying? That's a question to ask right there. You know what I'm saying? So that's number one. Number two, going back to the old scenario where I remember leading into that Ruiz fight, he was actually getting upset that all people were asking were about Wilder, and all people are asking him about right now is about Wilder. So he has to really protect that Wilder fight. He can't get injured in this fight. He really can't take any chances. He has more pressure now than ever before in his career. His back is up against the wall, and it has not been that firmly pressed up against the wall ever before in his career. So, with all that being said, he will win the fight. But I don't think he'll look great doing it again. Like, I think we'll have a similar Jermaine Franklin type performance, right? And I think this fight will go the distance. I don't think Helenius will go down because there was no envelope slipped to him before the fight, before he signed the contract. So he will not go down this time. I mean, credit to Deontay Wilder. He did his friend a solid.
So
got him a quick
have a
payday.
bigger punch than Wilder.
But how much are they paying you?
Well, I'm just, you know.
So what you're saying is that punch from Wilder wasn't that hard for Helenius to go down. Is that what you're saying?
No, it was not.
Sounded hard to me, but okay.
No, he leaned face first.
Ocotazo.
He leaned face first. The punch kind of rolled up his head, and then he fell back the other way. This was shades of Malik Scott, Manny. I'm sorry.
It happens like that.
This was shades of Malik Scott. You don't fall forward. You don't fall forward, and then when you get hit, fall backward on your back and crumple.
How did Paul Williams fall against Martinez?
Face first. Helenius went the other way. And he was.
I guess I misunderstood what you just said, but you can go back to how did Haddon fall against Pacquiao?
Face first.
No, he didn't.
Face first. Same thing as Pacquiao Marquez. When you leap in and you get hit with a shot,
you go forward.
You fall.
I remember Haddon on his back.
Yeah,
I remember
Miguel Burchell against Oscar Valdez.
No,
went down like that.
Okay. You go face first. Right. So I don't want to open
power of Wilder. It's so
I don't want to open up
powerful.
that can of worms. I'm standing on what I'm standing on.
He was so powerful, even the momentum couldn't deal with it.
I'm standing on what I'm standing on. Once again, I will take the heat. That's what I'm here for.
All right, I got you.
That could be used for negotiations. Hey, I knocked out Helenius, and look, you struggled with him.
That's what's going to happen.
Right.
That's what's going to happen.
And by the way, before I go to Manny, a lot of you AJ fans are going to have to deal with it because, and I was talking to Beep about this, when Jared Anderson went the distance with Charles Martin, all I kept hearing was like, "Oh, you went the distance. Oh, AJ knocked that dude out in 3 rounds. Well, what happened? I thought this guy was this and that. I think it's a hype job." And so don't get mad when the Wilder fans do that to you.
Same thing with Brazil. Same thing with Dominic Brazil. Didn't he go 7 rounds at AJ, but Wilder knocked him out in 1?
Yeah, but they both won in their own dominant way, though. I mean, but you know, okay.
What's better, 7 or 1?
1, of course. Yeah. Manny Marrero. Are we going to see a spoiler in this one, brother?
I mean, last time I was in the show, we were talking about the opportunity for AJ to have another fight. Is this the fight that he'd get him to, to come back to where he was even before Andy Ruiz? And, definitely Eddie Hearn believes that. Even his fans in the UK believe that AJ still has what it takes to become a world champion again. And then we got the same scenario, all right, from the guy that actually pretty much destroyed Anthony Joshua, and he has never been the same after the Ruiz fight. Think about it. Baby Miller was supposed to fight him, all right? He got caught. Andy Ruiz came in, and guess what happens now? The same thing. Why gets caught? Someone else comes in, right? We couldn't really see a whole lot in Helenius yet. Is he that guy? But is Anthony Joshua still the same? We talked about, and I keep saying over and over and over, Anthony Joshua lost his mojo. Anthony Joshua got hit so hard that, he felt it. He felt it. He's not the same, and he's very cautious to get into that same spot that Andy Ruiz put him at one point. And so with that being said, he's still going to be very cautious. He's not going to be very aggressive, and he's going to be like not nervous, but he's not going to be loose and have that same momentum and rhythm he used to have, because you got caught one time and you don't want to get caught again, right? And so is this the better opportunity than fighting Whyte? Absolutely. I think he's got a much better chance, but you can never underestimate the underdog, especially on the second time with the same scenario. It don't matter. This is not Andy Ruiz, but it's the same scenario, especially right now on a beaten Anthony Joshua. So I will be concerned, the day to fight. I'm hoping that he can have some time to really put himself together. And it's difficult. And Christy may talk about that. When you change opponents, your camp has to completely change, completely different to the style of the other opponent. So he's going to have a lot of work to do. And you hit it in the head of the nail. I mean, how much time, right, is Derek James dedicating? Not only that, he's got Ryan Garcia. Not only that, he's got Charlos too. I mean, come on.
AJ was sparring EJ, for God's sakes.
I mean, just think about this right now. There's a stable.
So he softened him up. That's why he looked like that against Crawford.
Yep. There's a stable that it was in his prime, and all of a sudden it just plumbed. I mean, that happened. It did happen with
Reynoso too. Remember
Reynoso too as well. Ryan left there. What is it? Who lost? Ruiz lost at that time. I mean, it's not the same. And I guess right now we have to think about who's going to have the better momentum at this time. You think with AJ would do, because he's got a lot of talent around him. But at the end of the day, in this particular occasion, because of the scenarios that's happened before, you can't really underestimate the dog. To the point, I don't like the bet in boxing. I do not. But if I have $100 just to throw away for the sake of it to make money, I would put it in Helenius.
Bet AJ to win by decision. So that money you're going to lose on Navarrete, Manny, bet the same amount on AJ to win by decision, and you'll hedge your bet.
You don't think AJ's going to get the stoppage? I do.
You said the same. You said the same thing about the Franklin fight, though.
I see a boring fight.
You said the same thing about the Franklin fight.
He's due a knockout at this point. It's due.
You're not doing anything in this world, man. You got to seize the opportunity in life.
Look, I at the end of the day, it would be a mistake to go out there and try to do the beat the clock challenge to try to beat him faster than Wilder did. That would be a mistake, right? Mm-hmm. If he does that, like, because Tim Tszyu kind of did that, like against Ocampo, like, because he wanted to do it faster than EJ did it. But like, it worked out for him. But I just think no great fighter goes in there like, oh, I got to beat him faster than he did. Like, no, you go in there, you execute, and you win. That's what you do. Right, Wilder is a bona fide puncher. Of course, he's going to have a bunch of one round knockouts. Right, Wilder would have knocked out a lot of guys that Fury went a distance with. Doesn't mean anything, right? At the end of the day, all right, just go out there and execute. And this is not about whether you could do better than Wilder. You're never going to knock out Helenius that fast, okay? Because you're not a bigger puncher than Wilder. Well, this is about his confidence.
He didn't pay him off either.
This is about, because, Beeb, you mentioned the Brazil fight. At least he could say he dominated Brazil. Is he going to dominate Helenius? Probably not. But I think he's going to get a TKO stoppage, I think.
12-round unanimous decision.
Yeah,
Can you
I see a
imagine
boring fight.
if AJ lost, the pressure that Ryan Garcia will have?
Yeah, but
can you imagine?
Yeah,
because within the camp.
Yeah, Derek James needs this, man. He needs this win. If AJ loses, my goodness, man.
Cholo, just bet the decision prop. You don't even have to give. You don't even have to give me 10%. I'm giving you a free pick here.
100%.
AJ by decision. Cholo.
Yeah,
100%.
I see a boring fight.
Take the family out to dinner with the winnings. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but guys,
it'd be nice to see AJ knocking him down. At least people, their fans can say, "Oh, he's back."
Look, I put the links in the chat, guys. I put the link in the chat to Los Tres Chingones. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. You can catch Cholo Trucker. I'm a fan of the show. I think they do a great job over there. They're doing their thing. Subscribe to In the Ring with Christine. Check out Women Crushing on Wednesday I wonder what day it is. Wednesday. Okay, check out their stuff. She's doing her thing as well. Check out Manny and Vivo Marrero with Long Live Boxing. I haven't seen them around, but they're doing their thing. Go to their Instagram and I know Hopper is doing his little shorts there. I think they're entertaining. Make sure you check that out and stay tuned and subscribe to their channel as well. And of course, Ringside Reporter with Joe Beeb. And you better subscribe to my channel. If you're already here, you know what I mean? Like I'm just saying. All right, but make sure you hit the like button, guys. Hey, thank you to everybody that showed up, and thank you to the panel.
The new Puerto Rican champion this Saturday, Emmanuel Manny Rodriguez.
That might be the only Emmanuel that's going to win. You know what I mean? But with that said, this is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out of here.
Viva!